Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise, get you the real story.
And today, we're looking at something potentially huge.
Yeah, reports of this, well, seismic shift. A kind of diplomatic earthquake may be happening behind closed doors.
Exactly. Something that could really shake up global power dynamics. We haven't seen anything quite like this proposed in decades, possibly.
So we're diving into these claims about a massive decision by the African Union.
This idea of enacting a continental disengagement protocol, specifically with the United States.
Right. And for this deep dive, where are we getting this information? It sounds pretty explosive.
It is. And look, our main source here is, well, it's interesting. It's a YouTube channel called Supreme Africa Breaking News.
Okay.
And they claim to have access to some really incredible insider diplomatic leaks. They're even naming names, sort of code names like Chairman Shadow and Protocol Black, supposedly deep sources within the AU.
Wow. So high-level stuff, potentially. But we should stress, these are claims from this specific channel.
Absolutely. We're reporting on what they're reporting based on their claimed leaks. It's a fascinating story they're telling, though.
Yeah.
And if it's true, well, it could redefine the global landscape.
Okay, so our mission today. Let's unpack what this reported disengagement actually means.
Yeah, why now? What supposedly triggered it?
And crucially, what are the potential ripple effects?
Yeah.
For global trade, for security, even for the everyday lives of millions of people.
Let's get into it. #TagShagI, the secret meeting that shook empires.
So the scene, according to this channel, was set just last week.
In Addis Ababa.
Right, a closed-door session of the African Union Special Economic Council. This wasn't some big public announcement, was it?
No, not at all. The channel emphasizes it was quiet, deliberate, powerful.
And what's really interesting, according to their source, Chairman Shadow, this wasn't some knee-jerk reaction.
No, he apparently said, and I quote from their report, "We were in a closed-door session when the final decision was made." This wasn't an emotional reaction. This was strategic. Months in planning. America pushed too far. That's the claim.
Months in planning.
Yeah.
So what was the actual outcome reported by Supreme Africa Breaking News?
They say the AAU officially passed this Continental Disengagement Protocol.
Which means?
Essentially, quietly cutting ties, trade ties, digital links, even military cooperation with the U.S.
Quietly is the key word there.
Very much so. The channel highlights this. No press statements, no fanfare, just an internal resolution stamped and circulated in diplomatic circles with a single chilling phrase. We no longer seek approval.
We no longer seek approval. That's a statement in itself. #tag2. America's disrespect and the breaking point. It really sounds like something had been building for a while, didn't it? This frustration.
Definitely feels that way based on the report.
So what was the underlying reason, according to these leaks? What pushed the AAU, supposedly, to such a drastic step?
Well, the core trigger, if you zero in on the channel's reporting, seems to be perceived disrespect from America, specifically towards Afrood.
Afrood.
Yeah.
That's a proposed African currency, the gold-backed one.
Exactly. The idea is, a stable alternative to the dollar linked to Africa's own gold reserves.
Okay. And the U.S. didn't like this.
Apparently not. The channel claims diplomatic cables show Washington was silently lobbying against it, calling it economically unstable and unrealistic.
Lobbying how?
The report says U.S. officials were pressuring smaller African nations to steer clear of it, even offering, dollar support packages to keep them dependent on the U.S. system.
Right, keeping them in the fold.
Yeah. And there's supposedly an AU memo that got leaked to the source. It apparently reads, "The United States has consistently blocked Africa's currency sovereignty, undermining our digital and economic frameworks. This cannot continue."
So it's about economic sovereignty, fundamentally.
That's the strong implication.
And it wasn't just the currency, right? You mentioned digital ties earlier. There's this thing called AfroNet.
That's right. AfroNet, Africa's own independent internet and satellite network project. Hugely ambitious. Designed to give the continent control over its own digital destiny, basically.
And this played a role in the breakdown.
Well, according to the channel, yeah. They described what they called the final insult.
Okay.
Apparently, during a high-level AU virtual summit, a senior U.S. diplomat allegedly said something like, "Africa is not yet ready to handle its own digital infrastructure."
Oof. That wouldn't go down well.
You can imagine. The source says the room in Addis just went silent. Dead silent.
Wow.
And then, this is powerful, an African leader reportedly stood up and asked, "If we are not ready, why are we carrying the world's minerals on our backs?"
Mic drop moment.
pretty much. More silence after that, apparently. It really crystallized the feeling in the room, according to the report.
So you've got this long buildup, this simmering frustration over economics, over digital infrastructure, then this final comment.
Yeah, the Brady point, supposedly.
And the AU makes this monumental decision. But what does disengagement actually mean in practice? What are the nuts and bolts of this project breakaway, as the source calls it?
Right, the specifics. Well, Protocol Black, that other deep source the channel cites.
Yeah.
They describe the decision itself like a windowless conference room with about 40 senior AU diplomats. Phones were switched off. Everyone signed the disengagement paper in silence. Very formal, very serious.
Sounds intense. So what's in the paper? What does Project Breakaway outline?
The channel lays out 3 core pillars from the document. First, trade. All major AU trade deals. They'll shift to using AFRULD and other BRICS-backed currencies, moving away from the dollar.
Okay, big shift number 1. What else?
Second, digital. AFRONET data services will cut U.S. access timeline by Q4 2025, so pretty soon.
Taking back control of the data.
Seems to be the idea. And third, security. The source mentions this concept of the One Africa government, replacing U.S. military cooperation with a future One Africa army.
That sounds more aspirational, maybe. The One Africa Army.
It could be. Reflects a long-term goal of continental self-reliance and defense, perhaps. But the immediate cuts in trade and digital are concrete.
Yeah.
The channel sums it up pretty starkly. In other words, the door isn't just closing, it's locked and bolted.
Locked and bolted. No ambiguity there. Okay, so if this report is accurate, the AU slams the door, locks it. What happens next? What are the immediate global reactions described by the channel?
Well, on the U.S. side, the report paints a picture of diplomatic meltdown.
Meltdown, really.
That's the term used. U.S. embassies across Africa supposedly scrambling, damage control mode. They even cite a supposed State Department cable.
What did it say?
Something like, engage African leaders immediately offer revised trade terms counter AFRULD narratives. Try to walk it back.
Right.
But the insiders talking to the channel, they apparently think it's too late. And they quote this figure, Mama Pan Africa, described as a fiery AU diplomat. She apparently said, America doesn't understand. This is not 1980. Africa isn't waiting for aid. We have partners now, China, Russia, Brazil, India.
The BRICS nation.
Exactly. Even Latin America is leaning towards AFRULD. The U.S. just lost its VIP seat at our table. Strong words.
Very strong. So what about those partners she mentioned? The BRICS countries. What was their reaction, according to the source?
Celebration, basically. Unfiltered celebration is how it's portrayed.
Like how?
Well, China, according to Chairman Shadow, sent a congratulatory message to the AU almost immediately. Just welcome to a new world order.
Wow. Direct.
And Russia. They reportedly offered practical help, like integrating AFRULD payments directly into their energy trade pipelines, meaning Africa could potentially buy Russian oil, gas, tech, whatever, directly with AFRULD. No dollar conversion needed. Bypassing the dollar entirely.
That's a significant offer. It would really underpin AFRULD if that happened.
Potentially, yes. Reduce costs, currency risks. A big deal.
And the report mentions specific African leaders who really pushed for this.
Yeah, the channel highlights South Africa, Nigeria, Angola, and Burkina Faso as being key drivers.
Okay.
They quote Ibrahim Traoré of Burkina Faso saying something really powerful. If we don't take this step now, our children will still be talking about foreign approval in 2080 enough.
A generational perspective.
Right. And apparently South Africa's Ramaphosa just nodded in agreement, a sense of shared purpose.
It's clear this reported decision wasn't taken lightly. It sounds like it required huge resolve. Can we get a feel for the atmosphere? What was it like inside those rooms in Addis, according to the source?
The channel tries to paint that picture. They describe it as tense but electric.
Tense but electric. Okay.
Yeah, imagine this huge conference table, right? About 40 leaders, AU technocrats, papers everywhere, AFRULD trade projections, AFRONET network maps, satellite plans.
Wow.
Even documents projecting potential U.S. retaliation strategies. They were apparently gaming it all out.
So they were anticipating pushback.
Oh, definitely. And there's this one anecdote the channel shares. It really captures the mood. An East African delegate reportedly just slammed his hand on the table, declared, "We mine cobalt, they build iPhones, then tell us we aren't ready. Ready for what we are the foundation of global tech."
That cuts deep. What happened then?
The room apparently broke into applause. Spontaneous applause. And right after that, the vote to approve Project Breakaway passed unanimously, according to the report.
Unanimously. That's quite something. A unified front.
Seems so.
Okay, so that's the high-level drama. But let's bring it down to earth. What does this actually mean for, the person on the street in Lagos or Nairobi or Johannesburg? How does this claimed disengagement impact daily life for ordinary Africans?
Yeah, that's the crucial question, isn't it? How does this filter down? The channel outlines some potential specific impacts for you, the listener in Africa.
Like what?
Well, for starters, your bank might start offering AfroLed accounts maybe by 2026.
Okay, tangible change.
Digitally, AfroNet aims to fully replace U.S. services. The promise is more secure African cloud systems, data sovereignty.
What about trade? Prices?
This is interesting. Trade prices on goods imported from BRICS countries, they could actually drop.
Oh.
Because there's no need for dollar conversion, reportedly. Cutting out those fees, the exchange rate risks, it could make things cheaper.
That would be noticeable.
Definitely. Also, things like education, health programs, the funding might shift to AU-managed funding, supposedly free of U.S. conditions or strings attached.
More autonomy there, too.
And jobs. The report predicts jobs in Afro-world industries will explode as Africa controls its own gold-backed economy.
A whole new economic sector opening up.
That's the vision presented. So, in short, as Supreme Africa Breaking News puts it, the idea is Africa stepping into financial independence.
Hashtag say the West's alarm and Africa's preparedness.
Financial independence. That sounds empowering for Africa, but you can bet it's causing some serious jitters elsewhere, right? Especially in Western institutions. What's the reported reaction been there?
Oh, yeah. Palpable alarm is the phrase the channel uses. Serious jitters is right.
It's like who? The IMF, World Bank. The IMF specifically. They've reportedly held 5 secret meetings in just 10 days.
5.
Why? They're worried, according to the source, that this Afro-BRICS axis, that combination could genuinely destabilize the entire global financial system as we know it.
Destabilize the whole system. That's huge.
It is. And it's not just the IMF. There's supposedly a leaked European Union memo.
What does that say?
It apparently warns if Africa fully exits U.S. dollar trade, we could face a global reserve currency crisis by 2027.
A reserve currency crisis, because the dollar's dominance would be challenged.
Precisely. If a whole continent shifts away, it has massive implications.
And what about specific countries, like France with its historical ties?
France is reportedly panicking, especially over its old colonial trade zones. They were apparently begging the AU for a special exemption to keep trading with them, maybe using AfroLed.
And the EU said?
Declined, according to AU diplomats cited by the channel. No exceptions.
Wow, sticking to their guns.
It seems so. There's even a bit of dark humor reported. When the U.S. ambassador apparently requested an urgent dinner meeting, one AU delegate supposedly joked, "Tell them we're busy building a future they can't buy."
Ouch. But look, jokes aside, the U.S. isn't just going to roll over, are they? They won't likely just let this go.
No, surely not.
So how is the AU preparing for the inevitable backlash? What do these insider documents say about their countermeasures?
They seem to have thought about it. The channel outlines 4 main pillars of preparation based on these documents.
Okay, what are they?
1. Security pacts with BRICS nations. Russia and China reportedly offering defense tech.
Shoring up defense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. 2.
2. Economic firewalls. Getting AfroLed integrated quickly into Asian trade systems, creating buffers.
Okay. 3.
3. Media independence. Using AfroNet to block potential Western misinformation campaigns aimed at undermining the move. Controlling the narrative.
Right. And 4.
4. That One Africa Army concept again. Running new joint drills, specifically focused on defending African trade routes.
So a multi-pronged defense strategy.
Seems like it. And the channel stresses the motivation isn't necessarily aggressive. The message they relay is, this isn't about hostility, it's about sovereignty.
Sovereignty. That word keeps coming up. It really does feel like if these reports are accurate, we're witnessing a potential turning point, not just for Africa, but maybe globally.
Yeah, the significance feels profound.
What's the vibe on the ground now across the continent? What kind of street energy is the channel picking up on?
It's described as a mix of pride, hope, maybe some uncertainty, but overwhelmingly positive.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. They quote a young tech founder in Nairobi saying, "This is the first time I've seen AU act like a united family. It feels good."
A sense of unity.
Yeah. And a market trader in Accra reportedly said, "They always said we were developing. Now we're developing on our own terms."
Taking ownership.
Exactly. And then there's this perspective from an elder in Harare. "I saw independence in 1980. This feels bigger.
Bigger than independence. Wow.
That's the sentiment being reported. And it's not just people on the street. Economists cited by the channel are making some huge comparisons,
Like what?
calling this moment potentially bigger than Brexit, even bigger than the fall of the Berlin Wall.
Whoa. Okay, that's a massive claim. Why? What's the reasoning behind comparing it to those world-altering events?
Well, the argument presented in the source is this. For the first time in modern history, a continent with the most resources and youngest population is refusing to play by old rules.
A continent finding its own path, collectively.
Exactly. A breaking away from the established post-colonial, post-Cold War order, perhaps. It suggested that even Wall Street analysts are scrambling, studying Afro-world impact models in panic mode.
So the ripple effects are potentially enormous, touching everything.
That's certainly the picture painted by Supreme Africa Breaking News. A fundamental rebalancing, maybe. Hashtag outro.
It really does give us, and you listening, a lot to think about. If this account holds water, the implications are just staggering.
Absolutely. It makes you step back and consider the long game here.
So maybe the final thought for everyone to mull over is this.
Yeah.
If Africa does successfully redefine its economic and political place in the world on its own terms, as these reports suggest they're trying to, what does that actually signal?
What does it mean for the future of alliances? For the structure of global power itself, beyond the system we've known for the last 50, 70 years?
A completely different world order, potentially.
Potentially. It's a question that could reshape the 21st century.
Definitely something to keep watching. Thanks for walking us through these really provocative reports.
Always fascinating to dive in.
And thanks to all of you for joining us on The Deep Dive.